Hey, it's Coach Rob here at Heavyweights Training Center. The other day in my strength club group, I have a women's group where I teach them all about strength and lifting weights. One of the things I said was to not train to failure. And the question was asked by a couple of our members in there is, why not train to failure? Why should you not go to failure? So I want to go over 3 simple reasons why in your training you should rarely go to failure, okay? There's a difference between going to failure all the time and rarely going to failure. So you don't want to do it all the time, but it's okay once in a while. Here's a couple of things. One, first of all, my writing is absolutely terrible. I do my best to make it pretty, but I'm a horrible writer, so I'll do the best to explain what's going on, okay? Number 1 is you always want to chase progress, not fatigue, okay? Anybody can make you tired, anybody can beat you down, anybody can make you sore and exhausted and miss reps, but not everybody can make you better. A good coach, a good strength training coach, a good trainer makes you better. They don't make you tired, okay? So my goal when I'm coaching my athletes is to make them stronger, not to make them worse. You have to go through a period of process of fatigue and training, but you don't want to miss reps, you don't want to max out. Every time I leave here, or my athletes leave here, the goal should be they leave feeling pretty good, not killed, okay? So number 1, chase progress, not fatigue. The goal is never fatigue in training. That's a whole different story, okay? Number 2, if you're training in a higher percentage of getting injury when you're training to failure, okay? 99% of the time, the lift that you miss, the one that you're maxing out in the gym and you push too hard and you go too heavy is gonna hurt you, okay? I see it all the time, right? Oh, I hurt my back doing a heavy deadlift, Well, it was probably too heavy for you. You shouldn't have been doing it. Training should be about training, not testing. You want to test rarely. Every 6 to 8 weeks is a good time to test, but don't be training to fatigue all the time. The rep you miss, you have a higher chance of injury, so always keep that in mind. And training is a long-term game. You don't want to train for 6 weeks and then be out for 6 months because you're hurt. It's a long-term game, so risk injuries when you go heavier. So keep it under control, okay? The last thing is very important. It's, if you can read my wonderful writing, is CNS fatigue, okay? CNS fatigue stands for Central Nervous System Fatigue. When you're lifting something very heavy, 1 to 2 reps, you're not relying so much on your muscular strength as you are your central nervous system strength. The more you're training at a high level, pushing to max all the time, grinding out reps, pushing your body, you start to wear down your central nervous system. And that's almost like the processor that controls your strength. So if you're hammering that CNS all the time, your body doesn't get a chance to recharge. That's why I have my athletes do heavy deadlifts once every 10 to 14 days or so, especially older athletes, because they need more time to recharge the nervous system, okay? So in training, make it a goal to train with goals, following numbers if you can, but not always going to failure. The goal is to not miss. You're gonna miss once in a while, that's fine, it's gonna happen, but don't take every single workout to absolute failure, okay? With the main lifts, you can see here below, I've got accessory work is different. What I mean by that is, if you're doing deadlifts, you're doing say 5 sets of 3. You don't miss them, they're hard, but they're not insanely hard. Now, if you've got to do pull downs, pull-ups, rows, those things can be done to almost to failure. Much less damage is done to those, to the joints, the nervous system, everything. So your main lifts rarely go to failure. Your accessory work, you can push a little harder. Hope this helps. Cheers.